I think a good place to start this topic is to mention my first real big, very powerful experience with the Trishul. And that was on, I believe it was 15 milligrams of 5-MeO DMT. I was sitting down in meditation and the Trishul was in front of me. And on some level, which is incredibly powerful but hard to put into words, the Trishul activated and started vibrating at a mystical level. And what opened up in my consciousness was this immense ocean of raw power. To me, the Hindu god of Rudra came up very strongly, very clearly. And this Rudra energy is very unfiltered. It is a power that it feels like can control the whole cosmos. And this power, it felt like it was within myself, not out there in the external world, but within me. So this power, it is something that my consciousness hadn't even considered possible to be at my command. And the question comes up, of course, what do we do with this power? So if you have a similar experience, it could be very natural that the first thing the power wants to do, or what you want to do with the power, is to fulfill your desires, especially if they're deep desires that we've wanted for a long time. But there is another option that is even magnitudes of order greater than fulfilling our desires, and that is stepping up into a super consciousness. And that is what the Trishul can do as a tool and what Rudra can do as an energy, if we approach it with the right intentions and the correct response. So what is the correct response? I think there is actually a great example in the Bible. Rudra is from the Hindu tradition, but now we can look at the Christian tradition for really great inspiration of how we approach this Rudra energy. And Jesus Christ, to me, he is in essence the white light. Jesus, you could say, was a man, but Christ is the white light. And in the Bible, Jesus, as a man, when he was going through his spiritual process, at some point he went into the desert and he fasted for 40 days and 40 nights, which is quite a feat. That must have been a very arduous process. He must have been sitting with a lot of uncomfortable emotions and feelings in the body, but we presume he sat there and loved it, was equanimous, had peace with his emotions, and he went through this arduous process, and right near the end, after doing all that spiritual work, the devil actually came and tempted Jesus. And how I like to think of this in my mind's eye is Jesus was standing on a nice hill and he was overlooking some fields, some farmlands and cities in the background. And then the devil came and tempted Jesus and whispered into his ear that you can have all of this land, all of those cities, you can control all the people within them, you can have so much money, and you can have so many wives, every whimsical desire that you get, you can just fulfill it like that, because you have now accessed oceans of raw power. So the moment that you perhaps, when you access oceans of raw power, the devil will be right there, very likely, in your ear, whispering to utilize it for selfish needs. And that's very normal. Even Jesus experienced that. But what made Jesus into Christ was at that moment, he rejected the offer from the devil and he chose instead to let the white light flood into that ocean of raw power. And we could say that he offered up the raw power to the white light. And the white light can delight in us offering up our raw oceans of power. And although it can be a gift to the white light, receiving the white light is even more of a gift to us ourselves. And why is it such a gift to surrender our power when we get white light in return? And the reason that it is such a gift to us to let the white light pour in, even though we let go of our power, that activates within us a new dimension of the heart, I would suggest. Okay, so what this is, metaphorically speaking, I want to paint for you a nice picture about how it feels when this raw energy, this powerful oceans of raw energy gets transformed into divine Christ love at the heart. And the best example, or the best symbol I can think of, is a hummingbird. Perhaps the most immediate reason why I like to choose the hummingbird was because a hummingbird has this really fast beating wing. Almost so fast beating that it can't even be heard. Incredibly fast, but at the same time, although it is so quick, the hertz, the frequency, is amazingly off the charts, and it is hovering so stable. Although it is so fast, it is not high-pitched, it's a deep hovering, a deep frequency, a deep beat, and that's what it feels like at the heart. It is so fast beating that it almost becomes inaudible, and it is so deep at the same time. And another characteristic of a hummingbird it is incredibly gentle. So although this raw power feels like oceans of turbulence, when that gets transformed into oceans of love, although there is still a huge power there, it is now really gentle. This ocean of love does not impress itself or force itself upon anyone. And then finally, what makes a hummingbird really nice is, what does it spend its life actually doing? Well, what it does is it goes from flower to flower, enjoying the rich nectar and being deeply fulfilled in that. And our heart is not complex, but that is what our heart can enjoy every day, moment by moment, going from flower to flower, being born out of the flower, and simply enjoying the richness of conscious experience. But then also, that is a normal hummingbird, but this hummingbird that we are activating within our heart is a magical hummingbird because it can fly into outer space and it can access all sorts of divine consciousness. Metaphorically speaking, this hummingbird can fly into heaven and it can be our vehicle to just experience the whole richness of human existence. So, as a human being, this hummingbird energy is being activated within our hearts. But we ourselves are still a human being, and we are really strong. That's maybe the one downside of being a hummingbird. A hummingbird is still a smart creature. It can see spider webs and it can avoid them, but it is not a very strong creature. But us as human beings, we are, on the other hand, strong. And especially if we start to unlock this raw energy of the Trishul, it is actually a big responsibility what we do with all this strength. And I would recommend that with this raw energy, we let the white light come in, activate our heart, and then simply we listen to our heart. So although we offer up our raw power to the white light, to divinity, and it gets transformed into love, at the end of it, we still find that actually we now still have the power, but it is a different type of power. Because we can think of it like two types of power. One is the more animalistic type, which a chimpanzee might have. And you could think that a male chimpanzee, that is the alpha, he feels so powerful. But that chimp might be at the zoo and he's really not that powerful. He's just powerful within his little tribe, but it is so limited. There is then another type of power, which is related more to energy in general and electricity. This white light, still electricity like lightning or thunder. And that is what we then unlock. What do we do with all of this magical lightning and thunder? Well, we just keep listening to this hummingbird heart. So when this raw energy activates and when the Trishul itself activates, the Trishul becomes like a beacon. And the Trishul is interesting as opposed to a Vajra, which you have to hold more delicately. You can hold a Trishul with a lot of strength. And a Trishul like the one behind me, that's not solid, but it is still quite hefty. You need to hold it with strength. So we still have tons of strength, but we recognize that there's a lot of responsibility to go with that. And we use that strength and that immense electrical power. We simply listen to the heart, listen to the hummingbird energy within us.